Hey everybody, hello. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me and that I'm here. I've got two cameras going. I've got a Instagram thing going, and I also have I have Facebook going. My whole plan was to have LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube and have all the things, but that didn't happen. So as such is life. So anyway, so we've got two going, about Facebook and I've got Instagram going. I will actually post these videos to the other channels later. So hey, I just want to say hello and welcome. This video, this live is actually this is strictly in service of parents and teachers who are embarking in this COVID learning 2.0 space. And it's really a response to all of the conversations that I've been seeing online. I've received a ton of questions in my DMs around legalities and how teachers should incorporate and so forth. So let me just kind of back up. What we're going to be talking about in this video and in this training is I'm going to be talking about what are some things that you need to be looking out for and you need to be doing as a teacher or as a parent as you begin to organize yourselves into pods and setting yourselves up as the adults for success. This is not about the learning. This is not about the kids side of it and making sure that the learning is going to be what it needs to be. That's a whole different training, which is a very valuable training. But this is going to be wrapped into, this will be included as a bonus into the COVID Learning 2.0 course that I have available right now. It's like, I don't know, I posted on my website it's like on sale. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, but that's not my point. Right now, this is about the kind of the nuts and bolts and some of those bigger pieces around what you guys need to be doing to make sure that you are honoring one another and covering your backsides, to be really honest with you. So anyway, so let's go ahead and jump right in. I am Tara Bertzel, and I am an education expert, former teacher. I've been a teacher and an educational leader for about 20 years. I have a company called Brainiac's Learning Lab, which originally designed Lego curriculum to teach kids how to become better readers and writers. And then that has spun into more consulting work that I've been doing with teachers and helping them start their education businesses, such as this, and also working directly with parents as a parent coach and helping them navigate when kids are struggling, which again is also perfect for this moment because so many kids are experiencing the nightmare that spring learning was. And so my work kind of gets split up into different paths just because of my expertise and the work that I've done over the years. But this is kind of nice that it gets to all kind of come together right now in this moment. And so I'm hoping I can serve everybody in this video as much as I can. And sometimes it's easier just to talk to teachers kind of in their teacher bubble and kind of talk about, the things that are very specific to them. And it's really not for everybody's ears, and likewise for parents. But I think this is important for everybody to be really on the same page, and I'm sharing the same message out. And also, I'm finding that I'm spending hours commenting in groups across the country. I'm in pod groups across the country, and I am sharing information. I'm spending hours answering the same question over and over. I'm like, you know what? I just need to do a Facebook Live on this and answer them all. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump in. So let's do this. So one of the questions I've seen many times, and this comes from teachers, it comes from parents, is should I have a contract? And if so, what does a contract look like? And so teachers, it could be called an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. Parents, same thing. Sometimes you can get a boilerplate off of LegalZoom, or you can just Google it. It could just be a standard contract, and you could just say, these are the things that we expect. These are the things the outcomes that we are going to want, how many kids, how much we're going to be paid, all of these things, right? And I think that's a good idea. Here's a couple of really important considerations, and this is more for the teacher's protection. Parents, you're just going to bear with me because I'm going to give this advice. If if you are leaving a teaching position or you're making this jump to be in a business, I have been talking to a lot of parents who think they're only going to do this as long until school resumes, which could very well leave you high and dry. So I recommend you get parents to commit to a period of time, whether it's 12 weeks, whether it's at the semester, or whether it's for the whole year. I think that is important for a number of reasons. One, it's important for the kids, for them to have continuity and know what they can expect. It's important for everybody to be able to get some traction and be able to start making some progress without feeling like the carpet is going to be ripped out from underneath of their feet. And it's also important for the teachers so that they can have some security and expectation around their professionalism and what they can expect to do. If they think that they're just going to be in and they could be done in October, that's not going to work for anybody. And so if you want to set it up, like if it's a 12-week commitment, your price is going to be higher. If you're going to do, and I think the price can be amortized over the whole year. If a family's going to commit to you the whole year, then give them a benefit of a price break on that. But I do think that it is advantageous to make sure that there is some sort of buy-in from the family and from the teacher so that everybody knows what to expect, and most importantly, that kids are being served consistently and then nobody's getting the carpet red. I mean, especially if we're talking littles, like kinders, first, second, like they need to have some consistency. Secondly, I also think that there should be some sort of understanding around teachers building a bridge back to the classroom for reintegration. So if there is going to be a teacher who's going to be working with your family for a year, I would work in some sort of agreement that that teacher is also going to communicate back to the school or back to the classroom teacher, or have some sort of report at the end about the progress that the child has made over the period of time that they've been working with you, so that there's some communication back to the school so the school has some information. And I think that's great. Again, it's great for the child. It's for everybody to be back on the same page. And it's also a way for a teacher to maintain their accountability and making sure that everybody's making progress towards goals, okay? Then, here's another big thing. We've been talking, I'm going fast, and I hope that's okay. If you are on here, if you watch this on the replay, go ahead and do a hashtag replay. Drop me questions, because I'll be in the comments answering questions, because I'm going to be sharing this video out across multiple places so other people will be able to see your questions. I don't want to answer you individually just in the DMs, because I'll end up answering it multiple times. So I would love for everybody to benefit from any questions you have. Okay, so the other thing I was going to say is I highly recommend that in an MOU that something is written in about COVID illness. If somebody in the family gets sick, or if the teacher gets sick, or if anybody's exposed, or if for some reason the government makes everybody go back to lockdown, if there's any reason that the pod needs to stop face-to-face interaction for any reason, I highly recommend that it is written in there that the teacher gets to continue doing their work with the children virtually, that the hands don't just get thrown up and we're going to say Aunt Betty is coming over now, she's going to go ahead and do it for us, and we'll just keep in touch with the school. Again, what good is the contract, and what good is it for the teacher or the children for that to happen? If you're going to enter into a contract with a teacher, if you're going to enter into an agreement with them and essentially provide them an income, you need to stick with it and allow them the opportunity to provide virtual instruction until that time period is over, and let them pick it back up and resume until the end of your prearranged agreement, if that makes sense. I would make sure that is in there so everybody has their bases covered. Okay, next, waivers and liability. I'm not an attorney. I should have said that at the beginning. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm not your attorney, and I'm not your accountant. And I am not giving you legal advice. Okay, now that I've said that, I have been in business for 7 years. No. Well, I've actually been in business for 9 years, but 7 years with Brainiacs. And I have learned a lot, and I have multiple attorneys that I've worked with to do various incorporations for me, between being an LLC, between being an S Corp, with other companies that I've had, and working through different liabilities. I work closely with school districts, with MOUs, different waivers, and also I have my principal's license, so I have a good understanding of, the liabilities that exist. My focus is always, please minimize your risk. And teachers, do not go into this lightly thinking like, oh, I'm just going to be a teacher. I'm just going to go in these families' house and they wrote me a little contract and this is how much they're going to pay me. which we'll get to, is pay. I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget, because I'm gonna get wound up on this topic right here. I want to make sure that teachers, you're not going to go in this blindly. Please stop and think. And I'm going to paint a worst case scenario, because the worst case scenario right now is not completely uncommon. And we could talk about, what if you slip on the ice and break your neck at the family's house? Like, that's part of the family's understanding what they need to be able to do. And I believe that will fall under homeowners insurance or whatever happens within your state. And I'm talking to multiple states here, so there's going to be a lot of nuance here. Again, talk to your attorney. But I absolutely feel, and I would highly recommend, teachers, please incorporate yourself as an LLC and find a boilerplate waiver and make sure that the family is going to be signing waivers around COVID. Here's what it is. And honestly, I don't know how strong waivers are. My opinion is, this is my opinion, and attorneys, if you're on here, you can tell me I'm full of it. I don't know. A contract is only as good as its defense ability in court. Like, it's only as good as the attorney that's coming along with that piece of paper. Because if nobody defends that piece of paper and it's contested and nobody's there to defend it, then it means nothing, right? So you have to make sure that a waiver is good, but you also need to be able to make sure that you have some other things in place. So the reason I say an LLC, let's say families or whomever, everybody's loving each other and it's all like butterflies and rainbows, and nobody ever thinks that they would do this, because I'm not the kind of person, until the teacher was, at some family event or some wedding, and she comes back and unknowingly has COVID. And now little Johnny has COVID in the pod. And it goes sideways for little Johnny. And now Johnny's in the hospital, and what if, God forbid, little Johnny passes away from COVID? And it's linked back directly to that teacher. It's not going to be good. All hell will break loose and all deals will be off. All bets are off, and every parent knows what I'm talking about. And I want to make sure teachers are protected. It is my understanding and it is my experience. Now, I don't know about human lawsuits around people and injury. I don't know that. So please don't, but I'm just saying this is from what I do know around other areas of liability in an LLC, is that if you do your business through the lens of an LLC, somebody can sue the LLC, and your personal self and your personal assets and all that is protected. So they can't come take your home and everything you're worth they can't wipe you out personally, only the business. Does that make sense? So the business has the liability. You personally do not. If you don't have that LLC and everything just comes to you and you're just some independent contractor, just some teacher, and you take a 1099 and it's all great, you're wide open in case there's something goes sideways. It's a risk. I like to mitigate my risk on that end as much as I can, which goes to also say I would highly recommend you making some phone calls around getting some professional liability insurance. I think mine was with State Farm. I had like $3 million worth of insurance, and it cost me, I don't know, maybe like $60 a month. I can't even remember what it was. I had 20 employees or 20 independent contractors working underneath of me, or employees. I was working at about, I had clients of 20 different schools. We had about 3,500 different kids going through our program. So I had a lot, riding on it, and had about, at a substantial amount of assets in the business. And so, but if anything happened, I wanted to make sure that I was protected, that the company was protected. And my people were protected. And so I just want to make sure also, and like when I had a beverage company, same thing. I had a pretty nice insurance policy in case somebody got hurt, like on my stuff, or God forbid, like choked on a piece of ice, like from a beverage we served or whatever. You just have to make sure that you are hedging your risks. And so teachers, set yourself up with an LLC. It takes, less than an hour. It's less than $100. It has some great tax benefits. You write off part of your cell phone. You can write off part of your rent if you have a bedroom that you can dedicate to an office. I mean, talk to your accountant. Your accountant will tell you all the things you can write off and what are the rules and all that. And there are some other ways because I know California is now saying you can't hire an independent teacher. You have to W-2 them as a family. Families, let me tell you this. If you're going to W-2, and the reason I'm saying this is some people will be like, totally know what I'm talking about. Some families like, oh, that's no big deal. We'll just hire an HR company. Sure. Except that, let's say you've agreed to pay the teacher X amount of money, we'll still get to pay. What do you pay teachers? You've agreed to pay them X amount of dollars. Now, if you're going to W-2 them, you have to decide if you're going to take all this out of what you've agreed to pay them, which I would absolutely say do not do that, because the numbers I've been seeing floating out there is already not enough. Enough said. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think that if you're going to W-2, you're going to have to pay FICA. You're going to have to pay your state's unemployment at some percentage. It's like, I looked up California's at like 7.65. Their state was like 3 point something. It can vary. 3 point something. Then you have to pay the HR company, which, a couple I was looking at, it's about like $13 per paycheck. And then your annual books and your quarterly reporting. So all this starts adding up for the family. And those are all things that don't even yet come out of the employee's paycheck. So families, it's going to cost you a lot to go ahead and jump into that W-2 bandwagon. Teachers, I think that a 1099, if that's what they want to do, because there's some write-off for them, if they're going to do that, fine. There's another way of going about it. Again, consult your tax people. Please make sure that this is good for your company. I do this around coaching. I've done this around all my services. When I work for a school district always 1099s my company, that a school district, right? Because the purchase order is a sizable number, right? However, if I have a coaching client, they're purchasing a package off of my website. Nobody's 1099ing me. Nobody's W-2ing me. It's a product or a service that they purchase as a package. So you could set it up as a package and have them purchase that directly from you through Venmo, Zelle, whatever. Report your income. Absolutely report your income. But I would have them and then have it set up through to pay your business bank account, right? So there's ways of doing that. If you want to talk more about in depth of how I've set mine up and how I can help you set it up, go ahead and shoot me a DM and we can talk more about that. I can go ahead and help you with that. So anyway, I want to kind of just talk about that. All right, let's kind of get down to it. You want to talk about money? Let's talk about money, honey. All right. I have a very firm belief that teachers are absolutely worth being paid well. And ever since a teacher took their very first itty bitty paycheck, way back, if you've been around the block a couple times, you took your itty bitty first paycheck and you're like, wow. And then you're like, oh, you learned this lie. We've been fed this lie. I want to use language, but I'm not, because I'm really keeping this super professional right now. That you became a teacher to make a difference, not an income. In fact, there's a t-shirt and a mug to go along with that. I'm just going to call BS on that whole thing. There's nothing wrong with a teacher earning an income and making a difference. Except somehow school districts have not been able to align the two. That's fine. And it's taken me 20 years of my career to figure out, it didn't take me quite 20 years because I started my business 7 years ago, that you can do teachery things and you can have your great educational moments and really impact kids, even kids who don't have access to private teachers, let's say. And you can still make a huge impact on the kids who really need it and all kids and families, and still make a great income yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've been seeing posts, and I did a kind of a ranty post on this yesterday, which said, these are the comments. Shame on you, it was to a teacher, shame on you for trying to be opportunistic and profit during a pandemic. Teachers need to be taking one for the team right now. Another one was, I have 6 kids and we want to pay the teacher $25 an hour and working 7 to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, with no lunch break. And there's no accounting for planning time. And then there was, and $25 an hour total, like not per child, total. Okay, let me just put that in your head. And then, yeah, so I mean, just comments like this over and over. It's just teachers should not be making a lot of money right now. How dare they? And I think that this is wrong. I think that we're really looking at a phenomenal moment right now where teachers are no longer asking permission. Parents aren't asking permission to do education their way, and teachers are not asking for permission to be paid what they've been deserved to be paid all these years. And I think it's awesome. I think there's a tension between capitalism saying, hey, you know, the American dream, you can earn and you can produce and do great things with whatever gifts you have. And we also believe that education should be free. And unfortunately, the people who serve and provide education kind of get caught between the two. It's like they're not allowed to come over here and earn well for their gifts because they're supposed to be part of the world that provides education for free, if that makes sense. And so I'm on this huge mission to kind of break this broke teacher mindset that teachers aren't allowed to make money, that teachers don't get to become wealthy, and teachers don't get to become rich. And it's taboo to talk about that. Like, God isn't, I have a favorite mentor of mine. She says this, and so I'm repeating her. This is not my quote, but I love it. She's like, God ain't mad at you for wanting to have money. Like, nobody's mad at you in the universe for wanting to be wealthy, because I think that teachers, in order to earn well for the gifts that they have, only serves more children well. Like, you have to pour from a full cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. And for every time that a teacher has emptied her bank account to zero or negative, or made that swipe at Target going, I hope I have enough money, while she's buying Post-it notes and markers and Kleenex for her classroom, and she can't pay her cable bill because she's providing for the children in her classroom, we all know that that's not okay. I mean, I think everybody can agree that that's not okay. But moreover than that, let's totally flip that script and decide that teachers get to earn what they are worth. And I'm going to go beyond that with that scale where teachers and parents, I don't know if you know this, there's a scale that how many years you've served, there's how many years you've served with how many degrees you have or credits you have, and you fall in some, like, you know, right? And that's your salary. And it only goes incrementally up. And it really never pays to get anything more than your bachelor's degree, frankly, depending, I mean, if your master's was free, I suppose. But for me, I have 2 master's degrees. It 100% does not pay me to work in a school district. I'll never make what my education has cost, if that makes any sense. And so my point is that educators really do deserve to be paid like the professionals that they are. So now, with that said, let's move into this COVID and what should I be paying a teacher? Here's what I want you to wrap your head around. If you want to be paying a babysitter rate, you're going to get what you pay for. If you want to pay a professional for the professional's job, you also get what you pay for. And so think about that for a minute. And also think about, this is a premium service. I'm going to set aside the conversation of the have and have-nots, because that is real. And there are other points around that conversation. I think that could be mitigated in many ways. That is not what I'm talking about right here. And it's frankly not the teacher's job to carry that burden of that much larger systemic problem. Okay, fair? Do you feel me there? Okay. Maybe you don't. I don't know, and I really don't care if you feel me or not on that. But that's what I believe. So let's talk about this. So if you are a teacher and you are going to be providing a premium service, which you're going to be a private educator for a family or a group of families, you need to be paid a tuition, just like a private school. And actually, it could be reasoned, depending on the level of your education and your expertise and the kind of work that you'll be doing. Like if you're facilitating online learning and you're not doing a lot of your own individual planning around your own expertise, that changes it. If you're, a new teacher, or you're even a student teacher, or you've only had 1 or 2 years of experience and you have a bachelor's degree and you're kind of getting your feet wet, that has a price to it. If you're somebody with 15 years, 20 years of experience, you're a reading interventionist, you have master's degree, or you're nationally board certified, you have an OG Orton Gillingham certification, and those sort of credentialed background, you get to charge a premium because you're a premium educator going in to do a premium service for a family who's choosing to hire you in. Does that make sense? And I saw a great quote, and it said, we have been saving money, from a family saying, we've been saving money for a rainy day. This is our child's education in this moment. This is our rainy day. So we're going to spend the money on this. And it's harsh to say that if families didn't save money to do this, I'm sorry, and that's sad. And there's a lot of other ways to serve them. But that doesn't mean teachers need to be dropping their rates to accommodate for other people's lack of planning and foresight. If that makes sense. I mean, it sounds harsh, but I want teachers to honor themselves. And we've been we've been taking on other people's financial woes for a long time, which is fine. But that time is right now over. And if you're starting a business to serve people with your gifts, and this is your your entrepreneurial moment, now is not the time to be dropping your prices down to that of a babysitter, okay? If everybody wants to do the Costco method of chipping in $5 an hour for your kids to have an education, I don't think this is probably your moment. I think that families need to be thinking differently about this. Or finding a different teacher that's going to meet your needs better, okay? Let's just say that. I'm more than happy to help teachers kind of drill down what they should be offering. I'll give you some examples here. You decide what feels good to you. You've got to feel what resonates for you and what is marketable in your area. But do not let parents I'm sorry, parents, I'm just going to say it how it is. Teachers, do not let parents tell you how they're going to manage your money. You're coming to them and you're telling them, this is a service I offer, this is how much it costs. And there are plenty of people out there that will pay you what you are worth. Fair enough? Be fair, be just, be aware of what you provide and what your expertise is or isn't. Don't overcharge, don't price gouge, but be good to yourself. Does that make sense? I'm very serious about this. So here are some things that I've seen. Great rates that I've seen. I've seen a $349 per day up to 6 kids. So that means if you've got 1 kid, it's $349 per day. You've got up to 6 kids in multiple families, $349 a day. I love that structure because it incentivizes families so they can split the cost, but it still values the teacher's time. And if you max it out at 6 kids at $349 a day, 20 days, which is about 20 school days in a month, that's about a $1,100 tuition per kid a month. That's about right. Because if you multiply that out for the school year, that's about a $78,000 salary, which is good. If you're a teacher with a master's degree, and you've got 15 years experience, that's probably, it depends where you are in the country, that could be way more than you've ever earned. It could be right on par with where you are. I think that's a good. And if it's more than what you've earned before, but you have a master's degree in multiple years, it's what you should have been earning all along. So I think that's fair. $1,100 per kid tuition is fair. If you want to open up another spot because you're like, oh, there's a kid who in our neighborhood who would never be able to afford anything or anything like that, the teacher should be able to offer a scholarship spot, not the family's business about what that other parents, other families' financial situation is. And so that is an opportunity for that family to introduce them to the teacher and say, hey, we have a spot, and let the teacher market or broker the deal to be able to set up the arrangement. And then the teacher invoices the parent, whether it's a $0 invoice because it's a free scholarship or it's a sliding scale or whatever. That's between the teacher and the parent. I do not think parents should commingle their money and then pay a teacher, because it's an us and them, as opposed to the teacher being the service provider providing a service. Does that make, I really strongly feel that it needs to be individual. It's not like all of us in this together to one check to the teacher, because that could go sideways really quickly. I think there's like a handful of like movies that do stuff like that. Anyway, so okay, so that is something that I really feel strongly about. So $349 a day, I've seen that. I've seen 25 parents. I'm just going to tell you kind of some of the numbers I have seen multiple times. I'm not pulling these out of anywhere. I have seen these for real. I've seen $2,500 a month per child. I've seen $60 an hour per child. I've seen $30 an hour per child. I've seen $30 an hour for 5 children, what I think is bogus. I think that if you're getting away with multiple children at $30 an hour, it should be it is not a certified teacher. I'm just going to say that right now. Maybe it's a nanny, maybe it's, a student teacher who's looking to get some experience and some hours, maybe a college student. I think $30 an hour is good for that person to manage a couple kids. Like that's great. But I paid college kids to run my Lego classes at $20 an hour, and that was like 25 kids. So no, that's all the no. I highly think that's not a great idea. It doesn't honor people. It certainly doesn't honor professionals at a professional rate. And if you and also take a look at where you live. If you're going to do that and you're not taking out taxes for them, they're going to have to pay taxes on that money. They probably also have to pay their own health insurance because now the district isn't providing it for them. So their like livable money just goes through. And for the math that I've done, depending on where you are in the country, but I have seen these numbers come out of Northern Virginia, San Francisco, LA, and New York City at like $4,500 a month pre-tax. That's lunacy. There's nobody, that's just lunacy. So I want to make sure that that we're going to be honoring teachers in those prices. If you don't want to and you think I'm, full of it, that's cool too. I wish you well. Bless and release. But I do want to honor teachers in that whole thing. So I've seen like a real cap. $1,100 a month per kid, $2,500 a month per kid. I've seen proposals come across for $180,000 for the year. I've seen $150,000 for the year. I've seen about $85,000 for the year, in a lot of different contexts and varieties. So I just want to let you know there's a lot of offers out there, but I want to make sure that we're honoring teachers for sure. Okay, because it's important. Okay, if you want, you're gonna get what you pay for. All right, so if you have any questions, this has been going about 30 minutes. If you have any questions, please make sure that you drop me comments below. Let me know if you have anything that you want me to answer. I've kind of touched on some big stuff here. Again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant. I just had experiences with both of them in my own business and my own education business. I'm also going to go ahead and let you know if you would if you like this video, share this video, pass along to the people who you think this might be helpful for. I'm also doing teachers, sidebar, teachers. Normally I do mini sessions. I do mini sessions for families for free. I'm now doing mini sessions for teachers for $47. I'm doing a full hour mini session with you for $47. My coaching packages start in the 2000s, and so I'm doing just a single session to kind of really help you get started and answer all those initial questions for $47, which is good, only because I have been doing a lot of them lately, and I just don't have any more time available just to be doing them without working in the business of my own. So I want to honor my own time too. So I want to make sure that you're getting what you value. And so if you want to book an hour with me, I'm totally able to do that. It's $47. I do that, through Venmo or whatever. It's easy. Parents, and teachers, you can do this too, but parents, I just posted, and I did a pod learning boot camp earlier, and now I've changed the name. It's a COVID Learning 2.0 4-part boot camp. Now this is where we're going to talk more about this. I'm going to put this in as a bonus. But I'm also going to be, this is where we're going to talk about the kids stuff. How do you handle the curriculum? How do you manage the kids' learning structures and motivation and keeping sure that they're on target and all of that, whether you're doing it yourself or you have a teacher doing it or you're working with a team at school or what have you. How are you working on you and you're staying sane? And then also, how do we make sure that your child is progressing and doing well? If there's been any COVID slide, if they were struggling before this whole thing happened, how are you making sure that they're caught up or going to get caught up? So I'm doing a full training for parents. It was $397. I've knocked that down because I want parents to get what they need, and I also want to value my time. So I've knocked that down to $97 just for this month, like just limited time. So you can go over to brainiacslearninglab.com/COVID learning is the URL, and I'll put that in the comments below. So you can go there and go ahead and sign up for that. And I actually am going to redo them. I'm going to do them live again because I want you to have that live experience, to be able to interact with me and have conversation. So it's the most valuable. I mean, it's like getting 4 coaching sessions with me, honestly. So, which, like I said before, that's 4 coaching sessions with me for $97, even in a group setting. It's pretty good. So, all right. I am so happy for you guys to be here. I thank you for your time. Thank you for your watching this. I've just enjoyed so much being in the groups. If there's anything I can do for you, if there's anything I can answer for you, drop me a DM, drop me a comment, share this video, all the things that people say to do with the videos. All right, I do have a comment right here from Marge. Says she's talking to parents about a rate but didn't consider taxes. Oh, I'm so glad. So where do I suggest learning about this, about how to best deal with this issue so don't slash your hourly rate? So let me just, Marge, you're a parent talking to other parents, or you're a teacher talking to parents? If you're a teacher, you get just a Google search about whatever state you're in. You can just search Google. Did I just say that right? My brain kind of got stuck. So do a Google search of what the tax rate is in your state, or you can look at your previous pay stubs, or look at your previous 1040s and see what your tax rate has been, and then make sure you just pull that out for yourself, and you either pay it quarterly, you pay it annually, depending on how much money you make. You could also call a CPA and ask them for information, but no, I don't know what your hourly rate is, but I would build it into your hourly rate. I also build in, hey, a little pro tip, I'm doing a bonus pro tip for you right now. I also build in parents, and so teachers, I would do this for you too. I know what I make down to the minute. I know how much my rate is to the minute. Here's why. Because I can clearly communicate. I build in for every 1 hour of instruction, I plan and deliver for for every 1 hour instruction that I deliver to children, I plan 20 minutes for that. Okay, so I'm also billing you. So when I give you my hourly, you're actually paying me for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Does that make sense? Hour of instruction, 20 minutes for planning. That's what my hourly rate is. Does that make sense? So I make sure that families also understand that not only is my hourly rate, but I've also built in my planning time, which is great because I don't have to bill you also for my planning. You can't ask for parents to pay it. You mean pay it on your behalf, or to pay you extra so you can pay it for yourself. If you're saying you want them to pay it on your behalf, i.e. like a W-2, yeah, but I go back, if you haven't watched this full video, I would go back and watch. I talked about the W-2 and kind of some of the heavy lift around the W-2s that families will have to do. I don't see a lot of parents taking on this W-2 thing because I think it's going to be expensive and it's going to be a pain in the neck for them. But moreover, it's going to be expensive. So I don't know. It depends on your situation and how many kids. I think that 1099 is one option. I think there are other options too, where you can just create yourself a package, and they don't have to pay you 1099 either, unless they want a tax benefit, which I imagine they might. So there's some tax considerations there. I'd also call CPA too. They might be able to give you some indication there. But Marge, if you want, reach out to me. I mentioned this earlier. I'm doing $47 sessions just for like a 1 hour single session. We kind of get you all set up and get you going. That I think will be really helpful for you to make sure you get what you need. Okay, so if there's not any questions right now, I am just go ahead and keep asking them in the comments. I'll drop in or I'll send you a quick voice answer on Messenger, and that's it. So thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend. Good luck with all of your pod planning things, and I'll see you in the groups. Okay, bye.